Derek, come on up.
Thank you guys so much. We're doing a lot better.
Wow. And Canadians too. So you guys have worked on this for quite a while. What gave you the impetus, the idea to do this, to make this film?
I mean, basically 3 years ago, we had finished 4 short films, and we thought it was time for us to do a feature. And we had written this feature, but it was this giant action movie. We just thought there's no way anyone is going to give us bazillions of dollars to make a movie when nobody knows who the hell we are. So we decided, okay, look, let's take it back, do something we could execute on an amount of money that we could raise ourselves. And that's when we thought, okay, well, actually, Derek tells us part of the story. This is Derek's part of the story.
About 3 years ago in spring, we were throwing ideas around. We had things like, zombie movies, things you can do on a low budget for fun. And Cliff just throws out, hey, why don't we make a vampire documentary? And my first knee-jerk reaction was, that is the stupidest idea. And then I thought, like midway through that sentence, I'm like, actually, that could be a ton of fun, because we can do all the action horror beats that we want, but do it in that sort of found footage documentary style where you get to cheat and do a lot of camera tricks and play with what you see and what you don't see, so that we can tell a huge story, a huge genre story, but in a budget that we can manage.
So you guys were like, where did you shoot all this? So you got France, you got Italy. Like, how far did you actually go on your travels?
Well, we started out in Italy. Most of the shooting takes place in Italy and Barcelona and Paris. Just like we went everywhere we said in the film. And basically the reason why this film could be made was because the concept of the film being documentary style meant we could shoot it with a small crew, but you had to have the greatest small crew on the planet, which we have, and a lot of them are here tonight. So.
I think the smallest we had was like Cliff, me, the sound guy, and the director of photography. Tomorrow we'll be back at base camp. I don't know where tomorrow is. She's somewhere.
Our amazing makeup artist, yeah. Actually, I think everyone who worked on the film, like Sam, Tamar, Chris, Zach, our producers, Zach and Anna were here. Jesse, our production manager.
Everyone had to wear multiple hats, otherwise you're never going to get it done. And we were so humbled by the amount of hard work and effort that everyone put into it.
And so sort of the emblematic of that story is our editor, Greg, who isn't here, was also our boom app writer at 20 times and our props man simultaneously. And in the scene where Derek punches the guy and he flies over the car, it's Greg pulling on the cable on the other side of the car. So, we love you, Greg.
Do we have any questions from the audience? Yes.
Yeah, of the locations in Italy, how many of them were planned sets? How much was guerrilla? Specifically in the restaurant where you throw up everywhere?
That's actually really nice, because that was a closed down restaurant. We actually brought the guy officially paid him to open up again, and we just sort of populated it ourselves and made it feel like it was active and useful, and it was the most stunning location you could possibly imagine, so it really took care of itself. But to answer your question, most of the locations were, I'd say about half of them actually were like official, and the other half were, see how it goes. Hopefully we'll get the footage and hopefully we'll get run up in cops.
People were so enthusiastic there. Like, no one had ever filmed there before, so everyone sort of took ownership. And like the people who were like serving us food were also the people, like the girl who he throws up on was actually the girl who worked at the coffee shop where we lived, and like next to where we lived. And the awesome thing was for her is like in that shot where Derek pukes on her, it was just like we weren't getting a big enough reaction. She's not an actress, and finally it was just like, Derek, just puke on her feet. And that's the one that ended up in the movie.
Did you have any times where you did get kind of chased away by police or shut down? Like
Paris subway, that's not a safe place to shoot. It's not smart, wouldn't recommend it. The one advantage of shooting in rural Italy actually is like you can imagine shooting in say Vancouver or Toronto with an ambulance. You need to rent the ambulance, you need to rent cops, you need to tell the entire area with a 10-block radius that you're going to do this. In rural Italy, you can get an ambulance, 2 real paramedics, a blocked off street, and they'll clean up the blood for you for €200.
And 2 children across state, because they're not all having
Very good deal.
And did you have like Canada flags on your backpacks and everything? Did that help?
Amazingly, we did not. I feel like I'm ashamed to say that. We probably should have like played the Canadian card harder, but since our backpacks were actually props, we actually couldn't just like put any logos and things on them, so we had to keep it real simple.
Do we have anyone else? Yeah.
You guys were amazing as vampires, very convincing, but please tell us all about your beautiful and deadly co-star, Bea.
Baya Reyes is I think she's Algerian or Tunisian, can't remember. I'm a jerk. Anyway, she's an incredibly talented actress that we hired out of Paris, and she was the most dedicated, most hardworking, and she was a lot of fun to work with. And what we wanted to do was we wanted to sort of play her against type a little bit. That's why we picked somebody a little more exotic looking, so you wouldn't sort of peg her right away as this, stunning, gorgeous vampire type. And by the time you find out at the end, there's a quality to her, there's a visceral, emotional nature to who she was and the kind of form she could give that really, she only has 2 scenes essentially. And so we needed her to nail the living daylights of the last one, and we got that out of her really happy.
And who else do we have here? Don't be shy. Yes, inside.
I want to ask about the special effects and specifically the blood effects that you used in the film and how that was achieved.
Any particular moment you're thinking of, or just in general?
Just in general, basically.
I mean, they had that headshot, like.
Well,
There's some stuff where like maybe just the camera doesn't flinch, like it's
Yeah.
there, you see it. It's just,
So that one, I mean, Tamar made all the blood in the movie herself.
Carried it from Vancouver.
That's right.
To Europe. We couldn't make it there.
Yeah, that's right. And specifically in the shotgun scene, what we did is because that was a visual effects shot as well, there was a blood cannon behind the chair of the Dirks, and boom, it goes up there. But then we enhanced the visual effect afterwards because we're going to do, when the head closes there, we enhance the blood. So hopefully it draws your eyes. You're watching the blood coming down the wall, and then all of a sudden it leaps out at you.
That shot, the suicide scene in particular, is one of those like we had to pull out every trick we knew to make that work. And to have it feel like a winner without cuts. Like we hit a blood cannon behind me, and the trigger was on the gun, which I had to activate myself. There was a prosthetic on my head, so I couldn't turn left or right. It was just insane, like to make that work.
super controlled. Well, what about like the jumping when you first go out doing the test on the big jumping? So you like come down, like there's like so much.
Oh, the big leap off the building?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a 2-part job. No, 3-part job.
The whole jump test?
Yeah, the big jump, so the big leap at the very end, the launch was one sequence, and then the landing was another sequence, and then the rollout was me. So it's Brian O, the faster, better looking, awesomer stunt guy version of me, doing this amazing jump, and then midway through that wipe, we cut, and the second part, which was the landing, which is 2 separate rigs on a crane set up twice. And then as Cliff is running towards me, he'll wipe down on the ground, and that's where we hide a lot of the magic. And as he rolls up, we just kind of pull like a plastic.
I mean, that was also kind of emblematic because they let us shoot outside their theater there. They let us park a giant crane, and then all these people were there lined up and like watching. And then actually, when the AD would say "Silencio," everyone would actually be quiet. It was amazing. Like everyone was just so keen, and they didn't want, they wanted to make sure the movie was as successful as possible. So it was actually amazing.
Anything else we have? Yes, on the side.
How much of it was actually scripted and how much of it was ad-libbed? Or did you just have an outline basically of this is how it's going?
I would say most of it is scripted, but we would usually our mode of operation was that we would shoot a scene as scripted and make sure we got it in the can the way we liked it, and then we would feel free to improvise. Now, some of us are better improvisers than others, and Zach and Ado, almost the entirety of everything they say was never anything that we wrote down. Those guys just kind of riffs, and you can't actually control them.
And who else? It's kind of right. Yeah, way in the back here, wait, there he is.
Yeah, I was wondering, what were the awesome sound effects you guys used for the vampire sound? Was that like there was a computer?
That's a question for Eric Paul, our sound designer. There are dozens of sounds in there, including, I'm pretty sure, a lot of large cats, a lot of metal groans. It's kind of like the T-Rex in Jurassic Park. Like it's a huge laundry list of sounds, and only he could tell you the specific alchemy of how it actually came about it. We got the extreme privilege of getting to sit back and have him be like, "Is this horrible enough?" We're like, "Yeah, that's not bad," and then he'd make it worse and worse and worse. That's the one.
What was kind of cool is what he'd do is he'd get us to simulate the noise as close as possible with our own actual voices, and then he would recreate that waveform with the artificial sounds, like kind of cutting and pasting it to mimic our voices, but in an enhanced way.
There's hours of us grunting and screaming. It's really not pleasant for anybody to go through.
Was there anything that you had in the original script or treatment that you wanted to do but you just couldn't because of either logistics or budget or just?
That's a really good question. Actually, this scene in the blood bank. I think originally in the script we had like this crazy scene where he actually goes into the blood bank and we actually see on the interior. And ultimately, through just the way it happened, it ended up being quite difficult logistically. So we scaled back and then replaced it with the ambulance. And well, for €200, we're pretty happy with that.
And we have another question, one last question from the audience here. Can't see you, so yell out if you got it. Someone's pointing.
Oh, yeah.
Sarah, what's up?
What happened with the baby pig?
We were not supposed to ask. The local guys who brought it by, I think that was a pig meant for.
Yeah, but when we were out in Italy, we had that barbecue, and